So Alison Van Alten is the owner of Tuckamore Bee Company, which supplies queens, cells, and nucleus colonies, as well as honey products. Alison grew up in a hobby beekeeping family on the west coast of Newfoundland. While studying apiculture at the University of Guelph, Alison began to keep bees herself. For 15 years, Alison worked for the Ontario Beekeepers Association Tech Transfer Program, conducting honeybee research. Her passion for bees and a desire to follow a dream inspired her to become a full-time beekeeper in the January of 2010. Tuckamore Bee Company is committed to producing quality bee stock and is a proud member of the OBA Ontario Resistant Honeybee Selection Program, which you just saw the previous presentation. So I'll pass it over to Alison, and your clicker is here whenever you like it.
Thank you, Graham. I'm going to start before I present with just a little video that was shot at the end of the beekeeping season last year. I haven't shown it yet to anyone, but I'm just going to show it so you get an idea of our operation, and then I'll carry on and talk about scaling up your queen rearing. So that gives you a little idea of our home farm. I'm going to talk to you today about scaling up your queen rearing operations, both queen production and queen cell production. Before I get started, I'm curious, how many people are already producing queens or cells? And how many are selling, not just for themselves, but are selling to others? Okay, great. At Tuckamore Bee Company in the last, say, 5 years, we've more than tripled our production. So it's something that's been really on our minds. There's a lot going on in the industry, and we have a great history with tech transfer and the ORBS program. There's a lot of quality queens being produced here in our province. And I think the next step is to start to produce more of those queens so that they're available for sale. At Tuckamore, I originally thought I was going to be a queen producer. Turns out queens are a big part of our operation, and I think that aspect is growing. But we also are selling now lots of queen cells. And we are in the nuke market because there's so much demand. But there's so many people. I live close to a lot of beekeepers, and it's very easy to sell nukes first thing in the spring. So it's also something that we've started to enjoy. So we run about 650 colonies and about 1,000 mini mating nukes. With the way things are trending right now, we are still trying to increase numbers. So we'll do a little bit of an increase again in 2025 by adding more mating nucs. So for us, honey is not a focus in any way. We don't do any pollination. We are straight on queens, best part of the business, most fun, and not so much heavy lifting. I do think it's important to get a bit of a honey crop. We like when our colonies are thriving and they're out foraging. So we're very happy to get a crop as a bonus, but it absolutely isn't our focus. We are using our bees to make bees. We sometimes get questions, how many bees do you need to run a queen operation? And that certainly depends on what your goals are for your production. But we found as we grow, we need more bees. So every year, I think we're doing a little bit of an increase in numbers. Our colonies are mainly used to evaluate stock. So we have records on all colonies in all yards. And we're looking at their characteristics and making selections to choose what we would like to have brought back home to the farm that you just saw in the video, where all the grafting and so on takes place there. Queen production goals. It's something I've thought a lot about. I think people that are already in the ORBS breeding program have put a lot of thought into this as well. Years and years ago, when I was an undergrad student and Dr. Medhat Nasser was one of my mentors, and he was saying, let's make Ontario self-sufficient. There's a lot of disease pressure from other provinces, from other countries, and let's be self-sufficient. So to me, that is absolutely a goal that we should have in mind in Ontario. It's great to bring in stock from other places. There's huge value in that. But if push came to shove and we needed to get through a season, it would be great if we are able to do that. As a nation, big question. Probably not. We get a lot of early queens from the States that come into our country, and a lot of big beekeepers, especially in Western Canada, rely heavily on those early queens. So can we make a dent in it? For sure we can. But it might not be an achievable goal, but we certainly should strive to increase our production numbers. The big thing that helped us at Tuckamore to really get our numbers up was orders from beekeepers. So when we had some commercial beekeepers approach us and say, we want queens every week for so many weeks of the year, we want a lot. And then we had to sit down and we had to do some planning. And that was really the final push that got our numbers really moving. Now that we have done that and we have our systems in place, now we can see how we can move a little bit further ahead and keep up with that kind of demand. Having said that, it's important, I think, for everyone to think about we want to make sure that we always have quality. So we're not out there to just produce as many as possible. I missed this morning, but maybe that was brought up a little bit in some other talks about maintaining quality. Yeah. But that is something. We have a good reputation here with our ORBS program. So certainly a thought, a very important one to maintain that as numbers grow. I never realized at Tuckamore how much I love, well, I know how much I love my job. I love the bee yard and I love being out all the time. But finding those really nice frames of bees that we're proud of, we often have a little photo shoot of that kind of stuff. Same photo every time, just different clothes. So to start, I'm going to talk about record keeping. Incredibly important as you grow your operation. We have lots and lots of records, and we don't always need the data. We don't always go back and have to look things up, but we have it in case we do. And sometimes we do need all this to follow through with our trends and to see how we're doing and how efficient we are. But I wanted to point out here is actually in our grafting hut. This is a picture. I like clipboards. It's a picture of the empty clipboards at this point because we don't have, I can't remember if this was taken before we started or at the end of the season, but these are for each of the breeders in the yard. And there are multiples, like we have more than this many breeders, but we'll have 3 or 4 sheets on each clipboard. So we are keeping track of all our breeder characteristics in the yard. So we know exactly what qualities we have in each queen. It's interesting because Les mentioned sometimes people graft from their favorite queen. And so once we have pre-selected all our breeders and we have their records here on the clipboard, we still, as individuals, have preferences for who we graft from. I might like a really nice Cordovan and like her characteristics, and I might inadvertently graft from her a little too often. So we actually incorporated a data sheet that shows who we graft from and how often we graft from her, so that we don't overgraft. If we have 30 breeders in the yard, we don't want to be using the same 10. We want to use them all. So we even have a data sheet that shows when a queen mother was used to make sure that she gets used regularly. So we keep track of that. Here we have another set of data sheets. Again, accessible to everyone in our team. Everyone that works at Tuckamore can see what we're doing and see the trends of where we're going and where information has to be stored. This is one that is fairly standard, but this is our grafting record. Not sure that you can completely see it. If anyone wants a copy, let me know. We're happy to share to give you a head start on what you might want to include on your sheets. This is from 2023. We do a graft number and date, the breeder, and how many cells we grafted into that one. And at the end, we'll write in how many were drawn, so we know what kind of a result we got. So our frames right now have 51 cups on them, so we'll graft 51 into each cloak board. We use a cup color. That way, if we want to go back and find out, breeder number 5, she's in a blue cup, and I really want to incorporate her in a certain yard, it's easy to find her to bring to a location because we know the cup color, which cell builder that it goes into, when the cloak board is going to be open. We use the cloak board method to raise our cells, the date that the cells come out, and we also have just a fun competition at Tuckamore. We keep track of the grafter. That partly just in case there is something changing, and partly a little competition to see who gets the most perfect grafts in a season, just a little bit of fun. I noticed through the grafting record that I'm getting old, but I think my eyesight is not the same. And I used to be able to beat Amanda all the time, but now somehow she's getting ahead of me, but I blame my eyes, and she has young eyes. But it's just a fun thing that we do. Another one here is, this is my favorite in our whole operation, I think. In the video, you saw the locations on our farm where we're mating queen cells. And when you get into bigger numbers, so we're grafting we graft twice a week, and we're grafting into about 17 cloaks each time. So that's a lot of numbers and a lot of queens that are being mated all at different times. So we have this sheet to keep track of what's being mated and when things will be ready, so that I know that when I have a customer coming, that we have what we promised them. So this sheet is most important thing here will be a harvest date. So when we're gonna harvest the queen, and these are the locations that you saw on our farm where we have the mini mating nucs. So if we are at Apiary Farm at Lone Tree location, we can write in here that there's going to be 80 queens available, and it's going to be on May 20th. And that way I can keep track, a total here at the bottom, possible queens to harvest on that harvest date. I know what our potential is, and then we can see and make sure we keep track of everything. So record keeping when you get into higher numbers is very, very important. We also can use this sheet to see what the potential was. So in Lone Tree, if I put in 80 cells, we also record how many mated queens we got back from that location. So we can watch all our trends throughout the season and see how our efficiency is. We have lots of information on how successful we were in every graft, how many of the cells that were introduced were mated and we got back as mated queens. We keep track of how many queen cells were wasted. So if you overgraft, we always overgraft a little bit because we never want to short anyone. But if you overgraft and you do great in every level and every stage, then you might have cells left over. So very unfortunately, sometimes some of them are wasted, but we keep track of that, and it's very few, but we know those trends as well. This one you can't see, and I realized that when I looked at it a few nights ago, but I just wanted you to also see this one. This is our cloak boards. So when we do our cloak board prep, every cloak has its own number, and we can go in there, we record the date and the cloak number and the strength of that cloak. And any comments that we have on, for example, Varroa status, we do sample the Varroa and the cloaks throughout the season, or any sort of observation we might have. In some circumstances, we'll remove a cloak or add in a new one, and we can see trends. Or if we don't get a good graft, we can go back and look at the cloak prep day and see if there was any comment to indicate why we wouldn't get a good graft in that week. This is the grafting hut at the back of our farm. Been really pleased with the new location. We used to graft up by the barns, but this is a lot better because as you grow, you have more and more bees in a single location. So it works out nicer to be away from the main parking lot and all the people. So we have all our cell builders here as cloaks, and all our breeders are here. And we graft inside this little hut. It is off-grid, so we have a solar panel on the roof, and we can run all the lights and any power we need inside the hut, which works out quite nicely. This is a few years ago. I can tell. I'll show you a comparison picture in a moment. But here you have Amanda Henderson. Amanda's here in the front table. If you have any questions after, you can also talk to Amanda. She's been at Tuckamore 10-ish years, I think. So she'll be able to answer any questions as well. What I wanted to point out was having the right supplies and materials to be efficient, and it takes time. And I think it's great when I think as an industry, especially in Ontario, we're really good at sharing our ideas and what works for us. I wanted to share a couple here today. We have a couple different types of grafting stands. This is my favorite here. This is made by Paul Kelly, and it's adjustable, so I can set the angle that I like. Whoops, I'm going to go back. I really like using this grafting stand. Amanda has a different version here, more of an artist easel. We have our grafting frames, which I would suggest that you have a whole nother set of grafting frames so that you can get them cleaned up and ready for your next graft ahead of time. So it's good to have lots of backup in your grafting frames. Ours are all labeled, so you can't see it from this angle, but they all have a letter on them. So we know when we graft into frame A, we know where those are. I also wanted to let you know about something that I found that's working for us. It is a light that is a dentist light. So they're not that expensive. I think they're running now about $60. It's a rechargeable battery pack here, and you can clip the light onto your glasses if you're a glasses wearer. I like to hold it. But it is bright enough to see into the bottom of a cell, so it is a nice grafting light and not actually that expensive. This is last year, so you can see the change in production. So now we have more of everything available. As you grow, it's nice to get that organized during the winter season. So more of everything available for grafting stands and tools. Everybody likes different tools. We have lots more grafting frames. And now we have a student here, Vivian, who's cleaning and prepping bars for us to keep things moving and keep things efficient. One little thing in the photo that's hard to see, but up top here, we have a heater. I think it's, I know they're often used in ice fishing, but a nice little heater so that when we decide that we're starting grafting in the spring, we power through. If we get a cold, rainy day, we'll just heat the hut and carry on with our routine. So I would encourage people that are ready to expand their numbers to get out a calendar and plan your season and plan your numbers so that you can you can work a little bit backwards if someone's ordered 100 queens on a certain date, and you can see what you need to do, how many cells are you going to need. If you need 100 queens, you might want to have 120 cells. So that there's some leeway there to make sure you fill your orders. And then you'd want to graft even more than that. This is an example. I do this every winter. I sit down with orders and try to figure out what kind of numbers for cloak boards that we're going to need. So we graft on Fridays. If you graft on a Friday, then you have Monday cells. So that works great if you're shipping queens on Mondays. You can harvest queens, ship them, and you have cells to go in. So one of our grafting days is on a Friday. So that would mean in your planning that you have cell builder prep the day before. So every Thursday morning at Tuckamore, it's cloak prep day. 10 days later, I'll show you that in a second. Here are our cloak boards. I know that you went through those different types of cell builders this morning. I have grown to love the cloak board method. And I think if you're doing a lot of grafting, then it's really nice to be able to maintain the same cell builder with just your manipulations once a week. So every Thursday morning for the Friday grafts, these cloaks are dismantled, basically checked, made sure they're strengthened. We add brood, and then they're all set. Cloaks are closed so we can graft the following day. It's can be a fun job, but it's not always a fun job because there are so many bees, and it is a rain or shine, and no matter what job. And that's one thing that if you need to expect, and your helpers need to expect as you expand. If you have orders, everything happens in queen rearing, no matter what the conditions. With a Friday graft, we also make sure to schedule in our timekeeping that we open the cloaks on a Sunday. So that has to be a possibility to have someone around for that. And on day 10, we do our cell harvest. So that will come up 10 days after our graft on the Monday. And I mentioned we do like to have Monday cells for shipments. The cell harvest is a fairly pleasant job, I would say, especially if conditions are good. Maybe less pleasant in rain or if it's later in the day. But we have a fairly efficient system at this point, I think. I would encourage having a spot to hang frames that have been brought in. So I am often a runner. I'll bring frames of grafted, of drawn cells in from the yard. I'll hang them on the wall up here. Amanda's been doing our candling for a couple of years now. So we have all our foam trays set out. So these will have customer names on them, pre-marked, and we'll know the numbers ahead. So if we have back here someone that's ordered, 70 cells here, we already have that set aside, and she fills it as she sorts. And you can see there are all different cup colors because we like to give customers a variety of genetics when they pick up an order of cells. You'll notice also the light is also a sort of a first point for some checking, making sure you're not missing any problems. So if you hold the cell up to the light, you can see them. You can see if there's any issue with the formation. The odd time we'll get a queen that looks smaller and she just gets culled right away, right in this process. So Amanda here is doing sorting in all the trays. The trays are fantastic for moving cells around. We make a lot of these foam trays with the holes. And on day 10, we put all these cells in the incubators. Sort of another little item that you can think of as you grow is having incubator space for cells. This incubator is a converted fridge, so a small fridge with 2 light bulbs, and it has temperature regulation as well so that we can keep our cells at the optimum temperature. I put in here that it was at day 10 that we harvest our cells. We now have become busy enough that we will actually harvest at the end of day 9. So we'll go down and harvest cells and put them in the incubator because we have customers that are arriving first thing in the morning, and there's not enough time to harvest then. Sorry about that. As we grew, we also had to get bigger incubators. So we went from the one you just saw, which is just a small fridge, and now we have a large fridge in another barn that can handle more cells for bigger customers. But we do find in the last years that people are quite interested in buying queen cells. It's I find cells very, very convenient. I'm pretty sure these ones will be for us. When we travel, do any beekeeping, we always have cells with us. If we see anything in the operation that we don't like, we sort of figure we're a little bit spoiled. If there's anything, any characteristic at all that we're not happy with, that queen is removed and we'll put in a new queen that we have with us all, like we always have cells with us. And this is not a focus of the talk, but it is important that if you're using a lot of cells or if you have customers that are using a lot of cells, that we keep in mind that we also have to have drone production to accommodate all the mating that is going on. So this is the 4-way mating nuke, and I think many people have seen it before at these meetings. I won't spend a lot of time on it. What I wanted to point out was that selling mated queens adds a lot to your task list. If you're going to sell all queen cells, it's actually not too bad. It's pretty efficient and easy. But if you are then going to move on to selling mated queens, you have a bit more work ahead of you. When we introduce cells here, we know that we'll have mated queens 2 weeks later. So we don't go back and look at them unless we have some sort of special reason to go and peek at our mating nukes. Here is our old method of, we used to shake bees into these, and now we actually make little mini splits. So we raise mini brood on top of strong singles, and we take that mini brood. Here's a nice box of mini brood, and we can put it into our 4-way mating nukes and make little tiny mini splits and move them onto our farm and start our mating process there. A lot of the mini brood comes from all our out yards, so we don't usually raise that mini brood on the home farm. We'll bring it back when we start to set up our mini mating nukes in the spring. Little bit of 4-way maintenance. That's something that I think once you pick your mating nuke and you get used to the one that you like, you'll streamline your maintenance. We have done a lot of that. It's taken years, and every year we'll make an improvement and see some way to become more efficient. Here I'm doing some harvesting and putting cells back in. We often do that same day, harvest and replace just for efficiency so that we're not making another trip back out. Same thing here. At Tuckamore, we have we really appreciate being able to keep our mini mating nukes working through the whole season. So we no longer would take a queen after 2 weeks. We now wait and we allow that queen to stay in the mini mating nuke and keep laying for 3 extra days, and we no longer would harvest until this point. So now we have it what we would call the queen harvest state. So it gives our mini mating nukes time to have a queen laying and let the population build up so that it doesn't peter out over the summer season. Graft number 2, you would plan that as you go through for your season, knowing what numbers you're going to need, when your harvest is going to be. Here's a picture of our cloak with 2 grafts in it. So once you do that second graft, you now have 2 grafts in the same cell builder for a couple of days. So here we can see frame number C is our old graft, and frame G means a graft is going to go into this box. So it'll be, this must be a Thursday, and the new graft will get popped into this location on the Friday. And we carry on from there, graft number 3. And now you can see that on this Monday, the 26th, now that we've got our system running, now we have mated queens available and we have a cell harvest on the same day. So it's nice to plan this ahead because you can see how your tasks overlap and you know what kind of manpower and what kind of time you're going to need to get the task done for that day. I went ahead and just put in a few more grafts, graft number 4, graft number 5. You can see it runs from May now into June, graft 6, graft 7, 8, 9, 10. So it can get confusing, and I do recommend that you keep these kinds of records. We also graft on Tuesdays at Tuckamore. So a Tuesday graft gives us Friday cells. And we like Friday cells for a lot of local beekeepers that come by and pick up for the weekend. So if you can imagine, then we also, because we graft Tuesdays, we have cloak board prep on Mondays, and it's complicated if you don't keep track. The best part though is catching queens. The harvest is enjoyable. It's a group and you can chat while you work. If it's a sunny day, it's just amazing. The bees don't mind one bit that you're working with them. A little bit less fun maybe in the rain, but really enjoyable to do queen harvesting. Sometimes it's raining. These nice umbrellas have feet, so you can move them around above your four-way. You'll notice that the four-ways are on milk crates, and that allows us to stand up tall instead of bending over for too many hours in a row. So we do enjoy standing up tall and having the umbrella if required. These are, you saw in the video actually some of the locations, but all around the farm in little nooks and crannies, we're running the mating nukes. You may have noticed the fishing basket that was in a photo a minute ago. They're wonderful for harvesting. You can have your supplies in the basket, so you can have your empty cages and your tubes in the basket. And as you cage a queen, and you can put her back in there, and close the lid. The sun stays off the queens, which is very important, and yet it's breathable because the basket is wicker. So it's a really nice way to not have to keep going back and forth to your vehicle and unloading. You can work a whole location and just put your queens in your basket. I just put this in. We run on the side some 5-frame nukes just to have a few extra queens around, and we like to have these available in our own operation for expansion or replacement for spring losses. I put in a little bit about shipping. Just as you grow, you might want to investigate what your options are, and if having a good relationship with your post office is wonderful. So they know about bees and know how to treat them. We work with UPS. So we did many test shipments prior to really trusting that they were going to be at their destination when we wanted them to be. So we had beekeepers in different locations that would get a queen in the mail or UPS so that we could test the system. But that's an important part as you grow too, to have enough time to do your harvest, set up your shipments, and have them go out. These queens, if they get shipped on a Monday, we're probably harvested Monday morning and shipped Monday afternoon. If it's a really big order, we'll pull a Sunday harvest in order to get them shipped out the next day. But we don't bank anything. And I would say one of the hardest things that I have found as Tuckamore Bee Company has grown, one of the hardest things is finding people to work, finding good people to work. Queen rearing is a bit of a specialty. Lots of people pick up grafting once they practice a bit and get into it. But it takes a little bit of time to build the skill, and it's unfortunate if someone moves on again the next season. So we have struggled a little bit with getting good people. So keep that in mind as you grow. But I really enjoy the team and keeping everyone involved and having everyone being aware of what orders we have and sort of what our motivations are and why we want to do what we do to have a quality product. I'm almost done. One quick little thing, because we run so many bees on our home farm, there aren't a lot of resources. And so we actually have been trying to provide that by planting, but we're running like 1,000, mini mating nucs, and we have our drone source colonies and our breeder yard. So we have been planting over the last 10 years just to ensure that the bees are also thriving on the location. If you ever have questions, I don't mind. That's my email there, Alison_B. And that's everything. Thank you very much.
So how many queens would you produce in a full season, and how many queen cells you see go out of your operation?
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, I think we just more than tripled in the last 5 years. So about 5 years ago, our total production was around 3,200, like queen cells, nucs total.
Right.
Last year we were close to 10,000. So there was about 3,500 queens in that, a majority of queen cells, and then we stick at around the 200 nucs per spring sort of area. We have demand for a lot more, and that's why we have motivation to keep growing. But getting those orders and getting the support of some commercial beekeepers really pushed us to grow and get our systems in place for that. Right now, I'm finding there's more demand now for mated queens. So that we would like to get our numbers up there.
Right. And in order to run that level of operation, how many hives do you have that supports all of this production?
We're running about 650 colonies. I think to be more comfortable, we will have to increase. We run that many bees just mainly to have enough bees to make bees. So we're always bringing bees to the home farm to improve our cloak strength. And it's moving. We move bees around a lot. Yeah.
Thank you very much. That was an amazing presentation, and thank you for all this insight into your operation. It was great.
Very welcome.
Yep. Excuse me. That was very good, Alison. Thanks. Just a question about how you predict for your production to match with your sales. With cell production, what percentage are you comfortable to commit to for sales? The same thing with mated queens. Like, say you have 120 nucs, how many of those do you count on selling a queen out of?
Right. I like to think we're going to get 80% of our queens back as mated queens. Like if we put in a certain number, I'd like to get 80% back, and we kind of count on somewhere in that range. but it isn't always 80%. Like it does creep down. I'm sure like we're in the 70s often. Amanda knows the numbers well, that we'll get back like 75% or something in certain areas. We always we overproduce to make sure that we will have enough. But if conditions are supreme, then we're getting like at least 80%, if not more, back. And that includes our culling. Like if we see something we don't like, then we won't sell it to a customer.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. For staff, how much staff do you have right now? How many new staff do you think you'll be hiring this year with your expansion? And is there a certain time of the year where you need to increase your staff above your normal staffing levels?
Yeah. As I mentioned, it's a big problem. I'm extremely lucky to have had Amanda for 10-ish years, and she is full-time through the whole season. We usually add in I would like to add in 2 more people starting later than that, say starting March and running through the until the end of probably September if I can. And that is really technically that is not enough people. We end up working like 6 days a week and long hours to try and get everything done. So I think having one other person would for sure make it more comfortable. But with an expansion, we would need more than that even. So it's been difficult. Like I've considered how do I have to go to get offshore labor because we can grow, we have the demand. We feel like we have the knowledge and the systems in place, but we don't have enough people to manage everything and get all the work done. And we aren't willing to neglect our hives. So I think if you get too busy, you forget about Varroa, and we don't ever want to be in that boat. So we want to have enough people. I have some summer people that come in, but they're just there June and July or July, August. And it's helpful, but for queen rearing, when you get an early start, it's not enough. And dismantling mating nukes at the end of the season is not near as exciting as making them in to start. So it's nice to have people around to help with that job. But so, yeah. That was a long answer.
Sorry. We have a question from Zoom. The question is, how many grafts per cell builder and how many support hives for each cell builder?
So how many grafts per cell builder? So we graft once a week into all our cell builders. So every cell builder gets a graft once a week, and there's 50 cups usually on a frame for that. So by the second week, that cell builder would have 2 grafts in it, and so on. But yeah. And the second part was, how many colonies to support it? I don't have a specific number, but everything in the operation, like when we beekeep, like say Wednesday is not a queen day. There's nothing that happens with queens on a Wednesday. So when we're out beekeeping on Wednesdays and we're in a strong unit and we feel like we can take brood out of it, we always are taking brood. So we'll take brood out on a Wednesday. On Thursday morning when we're doing cloak prep and we see a cloak that we'd like to strengthen, we already have the brood with us, and we can put in a nice cap frame of brood with bees on it to make sure that everything stays top notch in strength. We don't like to let anything go sort of slide and go downhill because we always want our grafts to be good to keep our numbers up.
Hi. Have you ever considered using wax cups or making your own cups?
I have considered it. I think I've seen Paul Kelly making them. I had the fortune of going to California into Conan's operation maybe 15, maybe 20 years ago, and they had someone making cups all winter, making their own. But I have never felt like I had the time to do it or to keep it up. So although I've considered it, I always have bought JZBZs and I never reuse them. I just single use.